guys, it's Kylie, and in today's video I'm going to be reacting to 15 of your unpopular Disney opinions. So I've recently asked on a few different platforms for people's unpopular Disney opinions. I got a lot of these from my Instagram, as well as I looked at some on Facebook, and I'm super excited to get into to see what you came up with. I will say I have my Instagram linked in the description down below. I do ask for a lot of different questions about videos on my Instagram, so definitely check that out if you want to put in some input to some of these different videos and different video ideas. But if you guys enjoy Disney videos and Disney content, definitely hit the subscribe button, turn the bell so you get notified every time I upload, as well as tons of Disney content on this channel. So I split these up into a few different categories, and the categories that it's going to start with is parks. And the first one is Peter Pan is not worth the wait, and I couldn't agree more on this. The only time I ever go on Peter Pan is when I have a fast pass. I'd probably go on it now where the wait's only like 15 minutes, but it's not worth the hour-and-a-half wait that it usually has. It's not one of those rides that I feel like I need to go on. It's just if I happen to get a fast pass for it, I'll go on it, but I definitely say it's not worth a long wait. The next one is the original Test Track is better than the new Test Track, and I 100% agree with this. I think the original Test Track is so much better. It was my favorite ride in the Disney parks. I think the new Test Track is cool, but I don't really get the whole interactive car element. I kind of like that you were in a test simulation of a car and you had like the test dummies and everything like that. I love the way that was set up, and I'm not as big of a fan of the new setup. The next one is I hate the smell of burning Rome. And I disagree with this. I think the smell of burning Rome is good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite smell. I know a lot of people it's their favorite smell in the Disney parks, but I do think it's a good smell, and I kind of like that fiery smell. So I think it's good. I mean, it's definitely not my favorite. There's plenty of other smells that I prefer, but I do think it's not an awful smell. The next one is It's Tough to Be a Bug is one of the best shows, and I would say yeah, it's a good show. I wouldn't say it's my favorite show overall, but it's definitely up in the top. I prefer to go to that. I think Lion King is better, but it's definitely one of the better shows than some of the other ones. I would definitely say it's on the top side. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I wouldn't say it's the worst show. I do think it gets underrated, and not as many people go to it because it's kind of hard to get to, where you have to go like down into the Tree of Life. Not as many people see it, where some of the other shows are pretty much prominent into a land and you can see them better. But I definitely think it's an awesome show, so I definitely recommend it, but I don't know if I would say it's my top. And the last parks one is Epcot's waste of time and Animal Kingdom is the best, and I have to completely disagree with this. I think if you're gonna not go to a park, I would skip Animal Kingdom. Even though I do love Flight of Passage and love the safari, that's always my last park to go to. There's so many better things that you can do at the other parks. I do love seeing the animals, but if I only had 3 days in the parks, I would go to the other 3 parks and not even go to Animal Kingdom. My sister would probably disagree. She does love Animal Kingdom, but we all as a family agree that Epcot's much better. I love going to Epcot, wandering around, just looking through the countries. It's definitely not a ride park, and I guess if you're into rides, you'd prefer the other park, but I think Epcot is great. It is one of my favorite parks. It is probably my favorite park. I love, even when there's not a festival, just going around World Showcase, checking out the different foods that they even just have in the different pavilions, going into the shops. It used to be pin trading in them, going to the different rides, seeing the different shows. I love the setup of Epcot. I know it's under a ton of construction, but we usually stay at the Epcot resorts, and I love just wandering around World Showcase, and it's just super fun. So the next category is character, and this first one actually kind of overlaps with the parks one, but it's Figment is the worst overall, so they don't like the character, the ride, any of that. And I have to say I'm neutral on this. I kind of like the ride. I think it's a cute idea. Would I say he's at all anywhere near my top favorite characters? No. But would I say he's an awful character? No. I don't really pay that much attention to him as a character. He does do a lot of the merchandise for different festival events, but I would say I like the ride. Him as a character I don't care as much for, but I do like the ride as an option. The next one is Stitch is overrated. It has a good movie, but the character is overrated. And this also ties into another one that said Lilo and Stitch were overrated, and I agree. I don't understand the hype around Stitch. I think the movie's good, but I still don't understand why he has so much hype. Like, Stitch merch goes so quickly. People love Stitch merch, and my sister likes Stitch, but like, I don't understand as crazy the hype. I don't mind a little bit of Stitch. I definitely think he's a little annoying, and I never understood why he was so crazy popular with everybody. The next one is Merida's a Brat, and I completely agree with this. I never understood the hype of her movie, and I know there's tons of Merida fans out there, but I never understood why she was so popular. Like, I know she doesn't get as much popularity as some of the other ones, and people might say that she doesn't get enough in the parks. I think the way she acts, I don't really like, and she's definitely a princess that I don't really like. I like all the other princesses, but she's definitely definitely my least favorite princess. The last character one is they don't like Tink's attitude, and I completely agree. She always has an attitude, and I never understood all these different Tinkerbell shows and stuff. She always is like the one that's bossing everybody around. She always acts so sassy, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I think there's sometimes when you meet her in the park, she's nice, but in all the shows and everything, she has so much of an attitude, and I think she's trying to be like a little spoiled brat, which I don't really like, and I think she needs to fix her attitude. There's one for movies, and it's about the Toy Story franchise, and it's that they should have really just stopped at 1 movie or even at 3 movies, because as you keep going, they just keep getting more and more repetitive, and one of them said that Toy Story 4 wasn't necessary. You kind of could have just stopped at 3. And I do like the Toy Story franchise. I do agree that they get repetitive. There's only so much you can do with toys, and I do like Toy Story 4. I wasn't a fan of 2 and 3. I liked the first one and I liked the 4th one. 2 and 3 didn't really do anything for me. I do think they went a little over the top with some of the different things they did, so I'm not a huge fan of the Toy Story franchise. I did actually like the 4th one better than some of the other ones, but I do agree there's only so much you can do with toys. The last one is about food, and the first one is Dole Whip is disgusting, and I 100% agree. I don't understand the people that like Dole Whip. I tried it. I didn't try it at Disney. I will say I tried it at the Dole Plantation in Hawaii, and I do like pineapple. I don't eat it all the time, but I don't mind pineapple. I tried it and I hated it. I did not like it. I know people try the different floats and stuff, but I don't like pineapple enough to want it in my ice cream like that. I think I'd rather have a vanilla or a chocolate soft serve. There's so many other flavors of soft serve you can have. They make blueberry and other stuff. Like, I'd way rather have that than the pineapple. I think it's so overrated, and I think it's not good. The next one is Chef Mickey's, not good, and I will say I have not gone there in a long time. We would go on our family trips like over 10 years ago when I was little, and I haven't gone there in a long time, so I would say I liked it when I was that age. Then again, I was like 7, so I don't know if I would like it now, but I do hear mixed reviews about it. Some people think it's really just for the characters, and the food. A lot of the character ones don't get as great food because people are really just going for the characters. So I don't know, I don't really have an opinion on it, but that's what this person's unpopular opinion was. The next one is Be Our Guest is not good, and I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on that. I went to Be Our Guest and I enjoyed the food. Would I go back for the price for dinner? No, but I think it was good. I really did enjoy the gray stuff. I think the meal was okay for the price. I think the atmosphere is really cool, and I definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't, just because of the cool atmosphere, but I wouldn't say that it's the best food. I think I'd rather go, if I wanted French food, I'd rather go to a place in the France Pavilion than going to Be Our Guest. The next one is Churros are not good, and I'm mixed on this. I don't think they're my favorite snack, but I do love churros. I do love cinnamon, so I definitely like churros. They're not the thing that I go to the parks for. I know plenty of people go to the parks just to get a churro. I don't usually get them in the parks, but I do like churros at other events. So I'm kind of mixed on this. I like churros, but I don't usually go for them in the parks. And the last one is Le Cellier. It's not good, and I would probably disagree with this. I personally haven't gone there in a couple of years, but my sister went there on our last trip and she loved it, and that's her favorite restaurant, so I definitely say it's a good restaurant, especially if you like steak. I'm not as big of a steak person, so I understand why people might not like it if you're not a huge steak person, but if you're a steak person, it's really good, and they do have a lot of different both meal and dessert options that are very popular. I enjoyed some of their different options that they got at the little festival booth when they do the Food and Wine Festival booth that has stuff from Le Cellier. I do enjoy that, but I haven't gone to the actual restaurant in a little bit, but the rest of my family has and loves it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's really interesting to see which things I agree with and which things I don't agree with. I know they're unpopular opinions, so generally most people would disagree with them, but I didn't think I agreed with most of them. I like some of the not popular Disney stuff. I like to go on the non-popular side of things. I'm not just trying to go for the main characters and all of that. I like to find some of the more obscure characters to like and different places to eat and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If there's any other unpopular Disney opinions that you have, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I'd be happy to see what your unpopular Disney opinion is. I think my number one is the Test Track one, that the original ride is much better than the new ride. That's always been my opinion since they put in the new ride. I still love Test Track. It's still one of my favorite rides at the parks, but I did love the old one. It was my favorite ride at the park, so I definitely love, that's probably my biggest unpopular Disney opinion. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!